Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sunday Shenanigans with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308, and we're here with the ASOC Prod Cat and the Peanut Gallery. Hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hi, Just Me Crystal. Much love. Hi, Chris into 386. Good to see you. Much love. Um, and let's do this real quick. Give Just Me Crystal. Oh, somebody got to it before me. Um, so well, let's start with the ad read, of course. Today's pre-rolls brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, 105 West Main Street, on the downtown mall, above the brick, Suite 200. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. And they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is The Hidden Leaf at thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com, all one word. And a note of disclosure, even though today is a clips show on Wait, Don't Tell Me, we still will be discussing politically opinionated subjects. And all of the opinions you hear herein belong to us, the channel, or the expresser of the opinion. They do not necessarily belong to any of our sponsors, including the Hidden Leaf, the Kush Gang, purveyors of fine edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse Craft Farm. Um, yeah, that's our ad read. Those are our sponsors and friends and friends of the channel. Let me take a sip of something. Okay, let's adjust that just a little bit. Somehow the background music is still just a little too loud.
Mm.
There we go.
That works.
That works. I'm gonna need to mark spots on my knobs so that I can quickly just twist the knob to where it needs to go.
I mean, yeah.
Up and
That
down,
sounds
up
like it
and
would work.
down. You don't twist it.
I don't know. I'm not in charge of whatever control pad you have.
Mm. No, the joke is, be right back with you after I'm done coughing. A young man was asking how to manually operate his boyfriend.
Ah.
And the person he was asking said, "Oh, it's like a bottle of ketchup. Treat it like a bottle of ketchup." So
Oh no.
that night, from out of the bedroom, you hear the scream, "Up and down, you don't twist it! The tip's not coming off!"
Oh no.
That is not my joke, by the way. I did not write that joke. That
You were
is
just aware of it and sharing it.
right. I believe I actually got that joke from my ex-wife. Um, I'd take a moment to say that, Little Bear is one of my best friends, and I'm so glad that after years we worked everything out and can be friends again. And that I could come to terms with my part and everything and all of that. And this is because we have the same sense of humor. And if you find somebody you laugh with, don't ever let them go. I mean,
Hmm.
you don't gotta marry them or anything, but like, stay friends with them because if they can make you laugh, then they are one of the most important parts of your life.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. That's also why I like her new boyfriend. Her boyfriend makes me laugh a lot. He makes her
Good.
laugh a lot too, which is great. So, he's a winner. He's a winner.
Good.
Even if we don't agree at all on politics. He makes her
Eh,
laugh, so he's a winner. I can put up with not agreeing. You knocked the spider plant over, you little snot. Sorry. One of the cats just came in the window, and there's a spider plant near the window, and they just knocked it over.
There was a spider plant. There
Oh,
is now a pile of dirt.
snake plant, not spider plant. I'm sorry. No,
There was a snake plant. Now there's dirt.
it's not so bad. Like it just sort of it didn't tip all the way over. It just sort of slid off of its shelf, so it's upright
Ah,
still. So it can wait until the show's done for me to get it and put it back.
fair enough.
Um, man, snake plants don't need much water at
No, they
all.
don't.
Really don't. Like I thought I was bottom watering this one.
Uh huh.
Turns out there's no hole in the bottom of the planter, so I wasn't bottom watering it, which means that
Mm-mm.
I watered it once in the past like 2 years,
Yeah,
and it
they
is
are.
perfectly fine with it.
All right. The problem is I know what plant you're talking about, and I know it's a snake plant, but that is not what either my dad or my grandfather ever called that plant.
What did they call it?
Mother-in-law's tongue.
I mean, if you had ever met my mother-in-law, you'd have said, "Oh yeah, that tracks. That tracks."
But
My
I also know that
mother-in-law,
that is
ugh, awful. My mother-in-law was awful.
a plant that is recommended specifically for homes or other places to help filter the air because it doesn't need a lot of water, so you're not adding the chance of mold by overwatering to the air. And it does a lot for air purification.
Nice, nice. That explains. Well, that's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got two pothos, the snake plant, a spider plant, and now I've got a monstera in here. So my air is getting filtered pretty well.
Good.
Gosh, I do love having all these plants in here. It makes me really happy just to have so many plants in my room.
Good.
Much trouble that you have breathing, you need as many filters as possible.
I really do. I really do.
Although there's one filter that you keep on missing,
What's that?
brain to mouth.
No, I'm pretty good with that filter. I'm pretty good with that one. I
I'm
barely.
sorry, I thought you had a brain first.
Ow.
Oh, would you like to twist that knife a little before you take it out of my back, sir?
Yeah,
I'll leave it where it is. Feel good about that
yeah.
shot. It was good.
That wasn't in the back. That was surgically between the ribs.
It was still from the back. It was still
Yeah,
from
from the back, but
behind.
that wasn't just your average. I'm going to stab you in the back and hit the shoulder blade. That was a surgical through the ribs and up angle.
Yes. Between the shoulder blades, through the ribs, upward angle. Much applause for that. That was well done. So, first thing we were going to cover today is something that we didn't get to cover yesterday, that I had actually heard of as well, but forgot to bring it up. So, let's do this real quick. Discuss this article. Uh,
For any viewers
from
in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah, right. From NBC 12 WBOY. Whoa, boy.
Yep.
Too hot for clothes, balls out, bowling is back, and nudity is required. From Pittsburgh, WTRF, balls out bowling is back for the ultimate bowling experience. Pittsburgh area naturalists are hosting another Balls Out bowling event where you can bowl in the nude. The event will be held at the Crafton Ingram Lanes in Pittsburgh on Saturday, July 12th. The event is for anyone over the age of 18, and whether you're a seasoned pro or a beginner, this event is for everyone. Tickets can be purchased here for $30. You must pay 30 whether you bowl or not, which includes 4 hours of unlimited bowling and shoe rental. Nudity is required with the exception that women can wear bottoms. Also, sexual activity is not permitted. Those running the event say nudism is not equal to consent and harassment will not be taken lightly. Violators will be asked to leave. No photography or video is allowed. And the event is a ticketed event. No tickets will be sold at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I really like that last bit about no harassment and nudity is not consent.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's pretty important. But
It is.
naturalists tend to be very conscious about that. Very, I don't want to say uptight, but like uptight about that. You know?
Actual actual naturalists do. But since they're
Yes,
opening this to the public, I applaud them for being
being very straightforward about it.
and being conscious enough that yeah, this is a naturalist thing and not everybody showing up is going to be necessarily part of their lifestyle.
Right,
So this is the rules going forward for those that don't know the rules usually.
right. Uh, I myself am not necessarily a naturalist. I both enjoy being naked, but I also tend to like to wear clothes, especially out in nature itself.
There are
Uh,
places poison ivy should never have a chance to get to.
there are places. Well, yes, although I'm not allergic to poison ivy anymore, so that's not so much it. It's there are places I don't want bugs crawling.
There's that too. Or the inadvertent, pricker bush that you didn't see in time.
Right. The blackberry bush that I just happened to walk into the middle of.
Yeah.
Um, you know. Also, I feel weird. I feel very weird about wearing shoes and nothing else. It's this sort of like I can't bring myself to wear long sleeves and shorts. That just seems so wrong to me. Long sleeves and shorts is like no, that doesn't. Shoes and nothing else, that's not right. That just doesn't work for me. So I really like if I'm going sky clad, I'm not wearing shoes either, which means I'm really not getting out there into nature because I'm not going into nature without shoes on.
I mean, there are some places where you could go barefoot, but
Plenty of places where I could go barefoot, but I won't because there are lots of bitey bugs on the ground.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, I it's not that the bottoms of my feet can't handle anything I might step on. I can walk on broken glass just fine.
Mm.
I will walk I will at some point in my life try the hot cold walk. I am going to this is in my future to walk across hot coals.
I mean, as long as you
Not
do it the
naked.
safe way and make sure there's actually a layer of ash on top of the coals to walk on.
And also do it in a professional-ish setting, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one that makes the fire and says, "Okay, it's ready to walk across." The other thing is if you do that, you don't stop in the middle. You just go.
Yes.
You just keep going forward. It's okay to run if you have to.
I mean, you can run, but
For balance purposes, I wouldn't.
no. Well, it's also just the simple thing of if you're walking, you're displacing
Less.
coals on the same level and you're keeping the ash barrier
Whereas
relatively intact.
if you're running, you're moving things really. You're putting a lot of
You're
pressure down. You're moving things.
yeah, you're punching through the layers that you are there to keep you safe.
Right. However, you don't stop walking either.
No, no, because that's how we get grilled toes.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a tenderfoot by any stretch of the imagination. Um, it has more to do with protecting my ankles and up.
Yeah.
Um, and it has and like the tops of my feet, things like that. Like I should wear I should wear shoes that come up above my ankle when I go out into nature because snakes.
Eh.
On the other hand, I'm not I've never been bitten by a snake and I have walked super close to them. I've been super close to them.
Mm.
You know, even aggressive copperheads and water moccasins. Those are local aggressive poisonous snakes that I have just
Yeah,
been
the
like,
water moccasins that we don't have.
what do you mean we don't have? They
I
were.
mean that I have caught them on a fishing line.
Mm,
And Fish and Game swore up and down that it couldn't be what it was because we don't have water moccasins in Virginia. We're
she'll
too
bet.
far north.
She'll bet. We have had water moccasins in Virginia since I was a child. There are water moccasins in and along the South Anna. Oh,
There were water moccasins in Schuyler.
right.
Put it this way. If we can have armadillos, we can have watermarks.
We have armadillos. We have
We have
porcupines.
armadillo, armadillidium vulgaris.
Vulgaris.
We have
Yes.
plenty of those.
We have lots of them.
Or you go Dimmadome from Dimsel Dimmadome?
Yeah, that.
That too.
We've got mountain lions that nobody wants to believe we're here.
I believe they're here.
Nobody in authority, because that means that they actually have to listen when people say, hey, something ate my cow. I will say Fish and Game has gotten better in the last 30 years with recognizing that people have way more access to game cameras,
Yeah.
GoPros, cell phone cameras, and other ways to document the fact that we are seeing and coming across these things. And so having the flat line of, no, that's not what that was, does not work anymore. And so now they're more likely to give you the line of, it must be a lone encounter. It wandered in from another state. Maybe it got lost off a pickup truck at a motel in Fairfax.
They've gotten better.
Why
But that
was
wouldn't
a
say that.
bobcat in a pickup truck going to Fairfax?
I was thinking more the alligator, but
Oh yeah, the gator. Well, yeah, that makes sense though. We know why the gator was there.
we know why. But that they're better about trying to give you some other line versus just the flat one of, that doesn't exist here.
Right now, they're actually having to make up stories to make it fit. They're
Yeah,
having to create a narrative to make it fit.
They've gotten better. So would you say they have upped their game?
they're trying. They're trying. They're
Are you fishing for jokes?
Yes, yes, I am. I seem to be floundering at the moment, though.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
The two of y'all jokes like shooting fish in a
I took
barrel.
that one hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-mm. So yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah.
There are a lot of critters here that
Not nobody.
nobody in
That
authority has documented.
right. But they
Oh
actively don't really want to document.
no, they don't.
Um. Well, all right. We better get into the game before we end up making this go too long. It's a clip show, so we're not keeping score today.
Right.
Um. Yeah. So I
Mm.
guess without further ado, let's get into it. You guys
Okay, dokie.
clicked on the stream?
Yep.
All right. Oh. Oh. That's that. Why can't I hear anything? Did you guys hear it?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I know why I couldn't hear it. I need to fix something here then. There we go. Okay, something's going on strange here.
Okay. Did we not hear it again?
Why is it doing that?
You got mad at your joke about turning the music off.
but I don't think so. I don't know what. Okay, let's see. It's doing fine earlier.
Hmm.
Those are both muted. None of that should be producing audio. Nope. That
Nope.
was weird. Did you guys
Oh.
hear that?
I mean, we heard it on Discord.
Well, this is being a whole thing. What the heck? Alright, let's see what this does. That's back there. Nope.
Huh. So we can hear it on Discord, but it's not coming through on Twitch at all.
Hmm? Uh, the audio. Okay, turn Twitch. Turn the audio on Twitch on real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Mix.
I don't know what's going on there.
It does sound like a remix, you're right.
What's going? Well, I know what's going on. There's a feedback loop somewhere.
Okay.
There's a feedback loop somewhere, and that feedback loop seems to be coming from within the computer.
The call is from inside the house. Got it.
Yeah, something is feeding back. Okay, this is I'm not going to be able to hear it though. no filters, no audio filters on it.
Ooh.
All right, let's try something. Let's see if.
Joined us in March, Peter started by asking her about her new show, in which she plays a middle-aged.
Great times with. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody.
I figured it out. I don't know what I did, but I did something and it was the right thing.
Woohoo!
So let's start that over again.
All right.
You guys had been hearing that in Discord for a minute, hadn't you?
Yeah.
All right.
John Hancock's signature.
All right.
Voice larger than John Hancock.
Bill Curtis, and here is your host at the Studebaker Theater in downtown Chicago, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much. This 4th of July, we are celebrating the 249th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, meaning this is the last year the country can say it's in its 240s.
And let me tell you, once you get to your 250s, it's all downhill, baby.
But before that happens, we party by revisiting some great times with our favorite guests, starting with actor Lauren Graham, who is most famous for playing Lorelai Gilmore in the beloved TV show, The Gilmore Girls.
When she joined us in March, Peter started by asking her about her new show, in which she plays a middle-aged professional forced to work with kids these days.
I have to ask, I watched the first episodes of Z Suite, and are there actual young people writing this show? Because I have to say, not being a young person myself, the young people seem like lunatics to me.
There are. We consulted with actual young advertising people, and obviously it is making fun of all of us. So it's not being overly critical of anyone, because it's overly critical of everyone. It's fun because of the show. I've heard even worse stories. I have a friend whose young employee called in sick because his eyes were baggy. He had under eye bags. And he needed more time for them to settle before he felt.
That's true. That is a thing that happened. Wow. I want to talk about the fans of the show, but I have to engage in just a little speculation. One of the things that I have learned about the Gilmore Girls is that it's famed for its references. There are web pages giving the explanation of every reference in every episode of the Gilmore Girls. In the very first scene of the first episode of the Gilmore Girls, your character, Lorelai, offers some flavored lip gloss to your daughter, Rory. In one of the very first scenes of Z Suite, your character describes one of the colleagues as so young, she still uses flavored lip gloss. Was that
most NPR?
And I'm like, this has got to be a subtle callback, right? On somebody's. No.
I don't think so. No one. I did not make that association, and no one said, "Hey, that's a little Easter egg for you." I think it's just you're a very smart man.
And you're a very lovely woman, but we knew that. Let's talk about the Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is...
Were you going to say something?
Nope. I was just chuckling along.
Oh, with the everybody glazing everybody?
Yeah.
so beloved that there are 2 fan conventions this year in Connecticut alone. Have you ever gone to one?
No. I haven't. And it is the 25th anniversary this year, and we are in discussions. By we, I mean myself and Amy Sherman Palladino, the creator of the show, to say, what can we do? What can we do to give people the experience they seem to crave of community around the show? Maybe getting all of us together in some way. So we're working on it.
You're working on it. So there might be something.
I hope so. There will be something. What will it be? At an inn in Connecticut, I don't know.
It'll be great to have all the people wear plaid. That'll be exciting.
Exactly.
Many years ago, I had the privilege of interviewing Leonard Nimoy, and he had a thing early in his career where he got very upset that people thought he was Mr. Spock. He later embraced it. And I wonder, you played a similarly iconic character. Do people think you, Lauren Graham, actual human being, are Lorelai Gilmore, fictional creation?
Yes, and I don't think I've worked hard enough to dissuade them from believing that.
No.
I think the show, as any long-running TV show, you become it and it becomes you. And sort of the reason I gravitated toward this way back when I first read the pilot was it felt like familiar somehow. It felt like the way I speak or think already. So it was kind of meant to be in that way. And yes, in general, it's really positive. People view me as their cool mom, and I don't, that's not bad.
No, has it ever gotten awkward? Has anybody come and laid out their troubles and asked for Lorelai's advice?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even awkward so much as and this is just being on TV and playing someone who's not Walter White, if you play a friendly kind of warm person, people just feel that they know you. And, people cry sometimes and it gets awkward. If I'm in the bathroom and coming out of a stall, that's not my favorite. They're like, oh my God, can I? And I'm like, let's leave this room and speak somewhere else.
Lauren, going back in your life way before Gilmore Girls, you were in your college a cappella group. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're on Broadway in Guys and Dolls. How often do you sing now in your life?
Not often, but I do. I am still on a text thread with the Columbia Metrotones, my group of songs we think would make good a cappella songs. We're not going to perform them. We're not going to arrange them. We're not going to get together and even rehearse it. But there is kind of it's always there. Once you're an a cappella, you never leave.
Right. I know.
In that group we had, because we traveled to other colleges on the weekends, and we had to have, and perhaps you can employ this if it's a problem in your life, a no harmony in the car rule, because people would be boo, 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 singing along to the songs in thirds, and it was really irritating.
Wow. Well, Lauren Graham, it is a joy to talk to you, and we have asked you here to play a game, and we are calling it
Gilmore Girl Meet Girls with Gills.
I know, all right.
Okay.
Work with me here, work with me.
I will.
You played a Gilmore Girl, so we're going to ask you 3 questions about Gill girls, that is, mermaids.
Okay.
Makes sense. Answer 2 out of 3 questions correctly. You'll win a prize from one of our listeners, the voice of anyone they choose from our show, on their voicemail, perhaps mothering them. Well.
That's a great gift.
It is, I think. I think it's the only one we could possibly afford, so it better be.
Okay.
Bill, who is Lauren Graham playing for?
Aoife Murray of Oak Park, Illinois.
A place I know well. Here we go, Lauren. You ready to play?
I am.
All right, here's your first question. The old 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride at Disneyland, now gone, well, for a brief period in the 1960s, had actresses dressed up as mermaids lounging on rocks in the lagoon and waving to the visitors. They had to end that part of the attraction just after a few years. Why? A, one of the mermaids got a tail caught in the submarine and got dragged through the lagoon. B, visitors kept jumping in the water and trying to hit on the mermaids.
B.
Or C, somebody who said they represented the real mermaid community said it was offensive stereotyping.
So B. It's so B.
I believe that people would get in the water to meet them.
Yes, you apparently have met some people.
Yes.
That's right. It was, unsurprisingly, mostly men who were jumping into the water to go talk to the mermaids. I don't know if the men had noticed that the mermaids are fish from the waist down. All right. Very good. Very perceptive. Here's your next question. The most famous mermaid attraction in America is, of course, the mermaids of Weeki Wachee Springs, also in Florida. If you were to dive to the bottom of the Weeki Wachee Springs where the mermaids play, 75 years after that show started, what would you find down there? A, about 10 metric tons of loose plastic mermaid scales. B, a carton of cigarettes that was dropped by a mermaid in 1968 who actually thought she could have a smoke break down there. Or C, nobody has any idea because nobody's ever seen the bottom.
Ooh.
I'm going with plastic
Scales, I guess?
Scales? No, it's not scales. It's that nobody knows.
You went for C?
Yeah.
I remember that one. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Yeah.
if I remember right, the third one is going to be about the mermaid that got her head bit by the fish.
Yeah. Okay.
Wachee Springs is the deepest natural springs in the world, and nobody has gotten down there. All right. You have one more chance. If you get this right, you win. An aquarium in China also offers a mermaid show with performers dressed as mermaids performing, this time in a giant fish tank. But they were recently accused of covering up an incident in which what happened? A, the tail fell off a particular mermaid, revealing it to be a merman. B, the head fell off a mermaid, revealing it to be a giant sturgeon. Or C, a giant sturgeon tried to eat a mermaid's head. There.
C.
The audience is yelling C.
No, they're just an a cappella group.
Yeah, I know.
They were singing.
I was about to say they're yelling C in C. So.
Am I being booed by
No, you were not being booed. You were being helped.
You were being
by
helped.
The
C, it's C.
It's C. It is C. Yes.
Of course it's C. It's about fish.
The giant sturgeon,
C.
which was in the tank, just swam on over and just tried to swallow that mermaid's head. And I have to say, having seen the video, it is horrifying, but in a good way. And the mermaid was fine. She's okay.
In my own defense, I believe that you could have a shell brassiere that was deceptively inhabited.
I think you're right. I think with modern techniques, I think that would be possible. I'm going to grant you that. Bill, how did Lauren Graham do in our quiz?
Lauren got 2 out of 3, and that is a win, Lauren.
Congratulations, Lauren. You did that like Lorelai. You were thoughtful, you struggled a bit, but you won in the end. You came through. Lauren Graham is now starring on The Z Suite. You can find it on Tubi. Lauren Graham, thank you so much for joining us on Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Thank you so much. Such fun.
It was a delight. Thank you, Lauren. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. When we come back, comedian Roy Wood Jr. denies stealing our shtick, and Amanda Seyfried teaches us how to dance like you know someone's watching. That's when we return with more Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Be right for you. Mobile for
Horace Worth.
an eyewear that's
From NPR and WWEZ Chicago, this is...
Were you about to say something?
Nope.
Okie dokie. I don't want to miss you guys saying anything.
Fair enough.
is Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your...
You know, because it's a clip show, and we've heard a lot of it before, and so we're not actually stopping to discuss it much. So I'm worried that, you know, we're not, you guys are not having the time to say things that may be crossing your mind.
Ah. Yeah. No.
My mind is elsewhere at the moment.
Fair enough. No. Especially with this particular mermaid one, I think we talked enough about it at the time that I don't think there's a whole lot more to say on it.
Yeah, no, probably not. Especially since I was gonna say touched on a mermaid yesterday, but that sounds way worse than what we actually did, which was talk to a mermaid.
Yes. Oh. I really need to go see if I can find like the Channel 29 clip of them talking to her or something because
Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
she was really nice to talk with and was just really she was having fun. And, and during the rain that came through, everybody found a tent, and there were some people with kids that kind of hung out in her tent because it was available.
I get that. I get that. And mermaids are pretty kid friendly, so.
Yeah.
Well, that was. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Mm.
All right. Yeah, see.
So you think there really was a tail there?
There's always a tale to tell. Mermaids always have a tale to tell. How do you know it's a mermaid? Because they have a tale to tell. There's the joke.
Mm-hmm. Does that go along with the fishing for compliments one yesterday?
Yep.
Very much so.
What brand of cell phone do the Transformers use?
What?
What brand of cell phone do the Transformers use? Motorola.
Nokia? Okay. Well, at least the Autobots, anyway.
True.
The Dinobots have Nokia.
Ouch. The Dinobots have landlines.
Yes, they do.
Is your host at the Studebaker Theater in downtown Chicago, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. So we are having a blowout celebration for our nation's 249th birthday because this is the last year we can credibly claim to be young.
Once you hit 250, your flag starts to sag.
Before our crow's feet land, we're revisiting some of our favorite moments from the last year, including this visit with comedian Roy Wood Jr. from March.
Peter asked him where he got the idea for his latest gig, hosting a comedy quiz show about the week's news.
I have another show that I'm getting ready to host called Fortune of the Wheel. Letters,
yeah,
sentences.
Smart, very smart, very smart. I want to talk about your new special, Lonely Flowers, which is truly great on Hulu. And I found out some things about you, including that you started doing stand-up when you were 19 years old.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
I was still in school at Florida A&M. Yeah.
Right, and what inspired you to pursue that difficult life?
I was going to school for journalism, and I would get laughs. And so I was just like, all right, well, this feels like comedy. I'm going to go do that. And I would just sleep in bus stations and do stand-up, get back to Tallahassee on Monday, and go to Golden Corral that night, work, and just go to class the next 3 days. And that was my life.
There are a couple things about that I wanted to ask you about, one of which is that you've said that job at Golden Corral, which is a buffet, was like one of the most important formative experiences of your life.
Yeah. I think that every American should either serve in the military a year or the food service industry for 3 years. Because when you work in a restaurant, especially a mid-size like that with a staff of about 40 to 50 back in front of house, that job, your first job as a teenager, that's the first time you encounter adults who don't give a about you. Most adults, I'm serious, most adults in your life up until that point have a vested interest in you being okay.
Right.
But I worked with a dude we literally called Cocaine Mike. This is a man
Yeah.
who's 39 and doesn't care what 18-year-old Roy, and he's going to talk to you about life. And I feel like it also introduces you to every type of American. I worked in North Florida, so everything from white supremacists to nuns to pastors to gangbangers to you meet literally every type of person, and you have to figure out a way to connect with them. It's hands down the best life school I ever got was $2.13 an hour in Tallahassee, Florida.
Wow, that's amazing. Just out of curiosity.
This is like the best commercial for Golden Corral I've ever heard in my life.
But here's the question. You've been pretty famous for at least a decade on TV, The Daily Show, a lot of other things. Has anybody who knew you back then reached out and said, Roy, I was the white supremacist. Remember me? I was the guy with the Nazi tattoo.
I'm Cocaine Mike.
For example.
I don't know where Cocaine Mike is, but I sure hope that prison has NPR.
There's another story to tell in the special, which I actually...
Now, I would like to say that one of the things while I was at my Orange County hotel, when I was in jail on vacation, I did get NPR. I listened to NPR a decent amount. I had to get my own personal radio, and they're very expensive through commissary, but it was worth it to listen to NPR several hours a night. Just to, several hours a night, several hours during the day, just to keep up with the outside world, and B, hear familiar voices. It's also how I knew that COVID was coming here before anybody else, apparently. NPR was talking about this strange SARS variant in China that was apparently spreading, and then I heard about the first case hitting the East Coast, and I was like, oh, we're screwed. And I was in jail, and I was thinking, oh, man, I hope I get out of here before it gets here. Because I do not want to be stuck in a room with 99 other people. A single room with 99 other people with a highly infectious respiratory disease on the loose. And I did.
Really?
I got out right before it got there.
That was what, early 2020? Or late 2019?
Late 2019. It was.
I was gonna say.
I got out maybe a week before 2020. Maybe 2 weeks before 2020.
Fall of 2019.
Yep.
We saw at school a whole bunch of kids come down with a high fever and no other real symptoms. And it lasted for a lot longer than it should have.
Yep.
And it was like we would have kids out, batches of them, for 2.5, 3 weeks. Well, 2.5 weeks roughly each time, and they'd come back and be fine. And it was just this weird. Everybody's just slowly getting sick. They're sick for like 2 weeks, and then they're coming back, and they don't have the normal chain of symptoms. Right. We're seeing that at the school. Meanwhile, my sister was doing. She used to do a clinical rotation for different clinics in West Virginia. So she was a traveling nurse, and so she had like three different clinics that she would go to throughout the week. And she'd do that all week and come home. but they were seeing the same thing we were seeing with our kids up there.
Yeah.
Only it was hitting the 25 to 45-year-old population way harder.
Right.
So they were seeing all of this stuff, and then about the time that Christmas came, all of it went away, and it seemed like everybody had finally gotten over, except for the odd person here or there that had lingering symptoms of a cough that just would not go away. Perfect timing for that illustration.
Right. Although that cough is not SARS related.
No, but so we all had this weird thing, and then March of 2020 hits, and they're like, "Oh, we need to do this," and we're like, "But, but, doesn't this sound like what we just dealt with in November?"
Right. But okay, but see, like, I don't think that was COVID because COVID didn't get here until late 2019. Like, until the last weeks of 2019, COVID didn't actually get here. And it didn't start moving around until early 2020. And it didn't take but a couple of weeks to get across country, but it took a couple of weeks to get across country.
Honestly, it depends on which set of news sources you're working with.
I'm going.
There are still people that are swearing that it didn't show up in the U.S. until the end of March 2020. So
I'm going with what I heard on NPR, with what I was hearing on NPR at the time.
Yeah.
The other thing about that is I feel like the population. Maybe the first wave wasn't that bad.
Honestly,
that may be what it was, and the first wave wasn't reported on, and it just wasn't that bad.
I'm thinking honestly that's what it was.
Yeah, like in retrospect, now that I look back, it's like, oh, that's way more possible than that it came out of China. It snuck its way out of China. Like,
I mean, however it came about, honestly, I'm thinking it was here in lower numbers and a lot less
although the other part
reported.
of it is, like, I feel like the American immunity to it was pretty low. So I don't feel like it could have been here for that long beforehand.
I mean, yes.
But but then again, I have nothing to back up that assertion, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It from what I remember of what was happening that previous year versus the symptoms we were told to watch for.
Right.
And the symptoms we were seeing in people that we had to turn away and be like, okay, you're getting tested, you've got all of this is matching. It's like, I really, really, truly think it was here a little bit earlier than it has been willing to say. And you can't prove it because no one had anything to test for it at the time.
Right. There was no way of knowing. And that would make a lot more sense. Like, yeah. The whole thing was so oddly mishandled all the way around.
Yes.
That it's hard to know at all what was really going on.
My one of my bigger complaints was the way they did lockdown.
I mean, NGL, they've screwed that up. every which way. You know, the American version was just done wrong somehow. At every turn, it's like it somehow was just wrong. What
I
about
mean,
it do you feel was wrong?
um, that they did it as a blanket thing. They did it as a blanket thing at first, but then they also tried to keep everywhere running at the same time,
Right.
which kind of defeats the purpose. And it was my thought was, if you're going to do this kind of thing, what is you lock down your population centers first. So your towns. If you have a town and you have a concentration of people and buildings, that is locked down first.
Right.
And you tell everybody, okay, we're going to be locking, so go get your groceries for the next 2 weeks. Make sure you get your meds for the next 2 weeks, whatever, and we're all locking down and we're staying put. And then the next furthest out branch in a ring is locking down like the week after that. So that it's kind of the concentric ring thing where everybody has a chance to get their groceries. But by the time you hit the final edge,
You can start on
the
the
people in the center, right, instead of whatever. And you've got people that are able to actually, take that whole 2 weeks and stay put and not spread.
That really, I mean, it sounds like a really intelligent way of doing it.
Versus the whole essential workers and this and that, which by and large the essential workers were essential.
Yeah.
Because you needed people to keep the lights on.
Yes. I think some of the essential workers weren't so essential. Some of the things that people were trying to keep going, it was like, no, that's just not essential. You know.
GameStop.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, not essential.
And honestly, most big companies, I get that the small mom and pop places couldn't handle doing the same kind of thing, but big companies like Walmart, like Target, like every grocery store,
Right.
they very well could have afforded to look at this and go, okay, we've got people that are going to be doing heavy shopping. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. So what we need to do is get our product out of the stores for the next 2 weeks and close down so that there's no reason for our people to be moving back and forth. And at the end of that time, then we bring them in and we have a restock day and we expect people to start coming in.
Right.
Right,
exactly. And that's sort of it's something that I guess I something about one of some of my friends were grocery store employees at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what that sort of I saw how they were getting underpaid.
Oh.
And still being forced to be exposed.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was it was very dangerous. It was very not okay.
No.
And of course, these people who are working for grocery stores don't have they don't have the money to take time off to wait it out.
No, they don't.
Part of the reason they work at a grocery store was because they needed money.
Yep.
Um,
And one of the saddest things is that you have companies that could have afforded to shut down for a period of time and give all of their employees 2 weeks off paid.
right. Right. Like, but instead, they stayed open and sacrificed the health of their employees.
Yes, there are going to be people that, for whatever reason, cannot go stock up on 2 weeks of groceries for the entire time.
Right.
Or whatever. There are lots of extenuating circumstances, but
This is where I feel like the
public
government,
services could have been useful.
yeah, the government needed to step in a bit more. Needs to have, like, there needs to be in place a government option.
Oh, don't forget they had 2 years earlier closed down the pandemic response agencies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Instead of suggesting that we all drink bleach, there could have been um, the
And then,
stepping in and saying, "Hey, uh, we're opening up this particular location. Come here, come get 2 weeks worth of MREs."
right. That's basically what I'm saying. As like some government agency that could provide food for 2 weeks at a time for being locked down, where it was like, and if you were in an area where it just wasn't going away and you were going to be locked down for more than 2 weeks, your area was going to be locked down for more than 2 weeks, they'd come and they would give you another allotment, you know uh and that's sort of like, I, I mean, it's sort of like communism. I get it. That's why this country wouldn't wouldn't, is because it's, like communism.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's also not the rugged individualism, uh, self-responsible, self-made ideal of this country. We're supposed to
No,
not need help from the government to survive a pandemic. We're supposed to be able to do it, each one of us, on our own, at least according to the American ideal, which is, as we know, bunk. We
but
can't do it as,
the thing is that ideal is also based on having a community that is there to support those that, for whatever reason, are not able to function.
it's based in the idea of having a church community around you, having a
It's based on the idea of
manufacturing,
having a functioning community
a
around you.
functioning community. Yes. uh Usually that was before the religization of America, or whatever.
Hmm.
That used to be your church community. um Now, I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing, that your church community is your only community and your only, form of support, because it ends up being very tied to dogma. And if you don't follow all the church's rules, then uh, you don't have a system of support in an emergency. I
I mean, that used to be the thing back. That thing goes back hundreds of years, honestly, because
I mean, yeah,
you
yep,
know, used to be that you were traveling you were traveling and you could stay, you could pay to stay at the inn
Or you
where
could
they were charging exorbitant rates, or you could stay for free at the Abbey. But in order to stay for free for the night at the Abbey and get your, either eat your own travel rations or be allowed to share a meal with the people, you had to be up at dawn for prayers in the morning, and you had to spend some amount of time as part of the worship service.
right.
Sometimes they required you to be there until the noon bell in order to quote unquote pay for their hospitality.
Right. I mean, that's, with with loaves and fishes and the Salvation Army, it's the same way, although less so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Loaves and fishes, they want you to be there for the prayer before you
Mm-hmm.
eat. And I get that. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small prayer. They keep it quick. They don't want you to be like every loaves and fishes I've been to respects that their position in the community is necessary, and they don't want to put too much religion into lunch. But
Right.
they have to say the prayer before you know. Or they have to say
Yeah.
the prayer. They don't have to say the prayer before you eat, but they have to say the prayer, and they want you to be there for it, there with it. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't,
But
Salvation Army. I I don't remember what it was like eating at the Salvation Army, mainly because I think the prayer was way more involved, and I felt way more uncomfortable with it. B, I think it was only they couldn't feed everyone, so
mm-hmm.
you had a very limited time to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whereas loaves and fishes could feed everyone. They were they were really good about networking with the community to turn a small amount of resources into 1,000 loaves and 1,000 fishes. They were very good at doing that, to the point
If you
where they worked with Food Not Bombs.
mm-hmm.
They would work with Food Not Bombs to, they had enough excess resources that they could work with other
Mm-hmm.
uh, pacifist, food based organizations, grassroots organizations, um, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
I still think is really neat. Like I think loaves and fishes is a wonderful thing. I also believe, though, that by relying, by having these forms of public private philanthropy, these private forms of public philanthropy, I think take away from the possible outcome. By doing this, you make the government feel like the government doesn't need to step in and do their part. And I very much believe that loaves and fishes is doing what the government ought to be doing. And the government ought to be ashamed that they have to rely on a very public minded, decent group of public service organizations to do their job. There is the government the local governments should feel shame that people need to go to Loaves and Fishes to eat. Loaves and Fishes should exist as a community gathering place for a community lunch for everyone who wants to just be part of a community meal. It should not be the only food a person gets in a day.
You are not
I,
wrong.
I'm sorry, do I all of a sudden have very strong feelings about this? One of the
I mean,
things
this goes back to the whole thing about how, what was her name that we were watching it last month?
Deja Sade?
And her points that she made about how public services are getting or have been uh, decimated and proven to not work, so they cut them because there's no point to them because somebody else.
Right. It's exactly it. It is. Yeah. So,
And then the thing is that once the public service is gone, the people that wanted it gone stopped doing what they were doing
right.
to make it go away, and then that leaves that void for things like Loaves and Fishes to fill because the need is still there.
Right.
The person that was showing up and making it look better, they got what they wanted and they've gone away, and the program has gone away.
Right. And now there's need for this private public philanthropy.
The need is still there, so
right.
It's
it is I'm yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have feelings on the matter. There's also I feel like I feel like I feel like there's more to be said, but I'm not quite sure what it is at the moment.
There's always going to be more to be said.
Yes.
All right, on with the show. We have diverged a lot now.
We have diverged a lot. We have certainly. I think we've diverged enough to say we've added something to the content.
And I was unexpected because
that's one of my worries is that we steal content on Sundays. We just steal content, even though it's
I mean, yes, but no, because we are actually playing. We are actually trying to play along on pretty much everything but the clip show.
Right.
In the clip show, we do this.
And it is a reaction video. We're doing reactions, and we usually stop and talk a lot as well. So I feel like we aren't, stealing content, but we should be careful. I should continue to be careful. We should continue to be careful, especially on clip shows, just to make sure we're adding our own voices here. So that
I will say it is easier to do when they've got a clip show that clips from further back.
Right, stuff that we don't remember as well.
Yeah.
Also, when they do stuff from that they didn't air, bits of a show that they didn't air. The Tom Hanks show, the Tom Hanks episode had a lot of extra clips that they didn't air, that they aired in clip shows for like a year and a half afterwards. Which I thought was brilliant marketing. I feel like they went to Kai Rizdal of Marketplace And he was like, yeah, this is how you do it. All right, let's get back into it. Have we lost the peanut gallery?
No.
No.
Okay. Just hadn't heard you in a minute.
Yeah, no, we were talking and the alien invaders came and snatched him.
Oh.
I just waved goodbye.
Bye.
I'll bring him back later.
Okay.
And I was unexpected because it's extremely funny, and I didn't expect to be moved. You start back when you were staying in bus stations because you couldn't afford hotel, and the story is that your mother found out. Somebody ratted you out to your mom, and she didn't know you were out doing comedy, right?
She had a student that was a baggage handler at the bus station, and he went to her class the next day and said, Dr. Wood, I saw your son sleeping in a bus station. You ain't seen none of my damn son sleeping in no bus station. My baby in Tallahassee. No, he's not, Joyce. He's downtown. He's sleeping at the bus station. And so my mom never agreed or understood why comedy was what I wanted to do, but she was the one who put down for what ended up being my first road car. And I think my mom's objective was to get me the car so that I could drive back to Tallahassee after the show, but instead I would now just travel twice as far and sleep in the car.
Right.
In bus station parking lots.
Well, Roy, it is so great to talk to you, and we have asked you here to play a little game with us. This time we're calling the game,
Have We Got Booze for You?
So you host CNN's Have I Got News
Nice.
for You? We're going to ask you 3 questions about ghosts and hauntings. Booze.
I believe in ghosts, by the way.
You do? Do you have any reason to believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I was dating a widower, and we were trying to have sex, and I kept getting a Charlie horse, and I feel like it was a dead husband.
Right.
Well, all right. Knowing
Today's pre-roll is brought to you by the Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, 105 West Main Street on the downtown mall. Suite 200 above the bricks, in between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. A great place to go with your buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. They also have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my own personal research. The website, check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com, where you can find events such as Frosty Fridays, where you can find our other sponsors, the Kush Gang, purveyor of fine edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse Organic Craft Farm. I don't actually know if they're a farm or not.
Craft cannabis.
I'm not sure what tagline they actually want me to use.
Ah.
I need to sit down with them at some point, like actually have a moment with them and be like, so how do you want me to refer to you guys?
Right.
Yeah. It's part of it is it's legally tricky. It's legally tricky because I'm not sure what's allowable and what isn't, you know. So, and I don't want to get them in trouble, obviously.
Right.
So, yeah, I just sort of try to make sure that things are, I'm saying the right thing, but I do have to sit down and ask, find out and ask. All right, let's get back to it.
Or belief in the supernatural and the reasons, therefore, I will still proceed. Bill, who is Roy Wood Jr. playing for?
Peter Grieving of Clarksville, Georgia.
All right, here's your first question. One of the most famous hauntings in U.S. history was the Red Ghost. the spirit that haunted rural Arizona in the late 1800s. People were quite relieved, though, when the red ghost turned out to be what? Was it A, vaudeville comedian who was trying to promote himself as being, quote, dead funny? B, a basset hound, which no one in Arizona had ever seen before? Or C, a feral camel that had been a part of a failed camel cavalry in the U.S. Army?
Wasn't it the camel?
C.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was C.
That feels like a C. Give me C. Give me the camel cavalry.
You got it, and that's correct.
Nice.
It was a camel. It had run away from the camel cavalry. It was out enjoying itself. People would see it and get scared. The Army Camel Corps, by the way, was created by Jefferson Davis, one of his many, many good ideas. All right. All right. Second question. Every country has their own legends of ghosts, their own versions. In Japan, for example, you could be visited in the middle of the night by a kamikiri, a ghost that does what? A, gives you a really, really bad haircut. B, just sits, looks at you, shakes its head, sighs, and leaves. Or C, raids your refrigerator and invariably steals what you were saving for lunch the next day.
I don't. Japan has a lot of customs around food, so I don't think a ghost would be disrespectful on the food side of things.
Not even a ghost. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that logic.
Give me bad haircut. I've seen some bad haircuts in Asia. I've been over there a couple of times. Maybe it was a ghost that did it.
So your choice is A, the haircut. Roy is right. He picked correctly.
Wow.
It is.
Okay.
Stories spread back in olden days about people
yeah.
walking down the streets of Japan, and all of a sudden their hair would fall to the ground without them noticing. It was the kamikiri. You're doing very well, Roy. One more question for you. Last question. A lot of people believe ghosts are real. In fact, so many people believe in ghosts. Which of these is true? A, in New Mexico, you can drive in the carpool lane if you have a ghost in the car.
Yes.
B, Vermont taxpayers are allowed to claim a ghost as a dependent.
Yes.
Or C, if you are selling a home in New York, you have to disclose if it is haunted.
Yes.
Vermont seems like a nice, fun, happy-go-lucky type of place.
I think they're all
Give me
true.
claiming a ghost on the taxes.
No, it was in fact, if you sell a house in New York, you have to tell people if you believe the house is haunted.
I mean, I know that.
Bill,
to be
how did
true.
Roy Wood Jr.
I
do
thought
in our
the other
quiz?
two were
2 out
true
of
as
3
well.
gives you bragging
Yeah.
rights for your panel.
Congratulations, Roy. You won.
you.
Yay.
You won. Yay.
Roy Wood Jr. is a comedian and the host of CNN's Have I Got News for You. His new stand-up special, Lonely Flowers, which is both funny and a little heartbreaking, is streaming on Hulu. Roy Wood Jr., what a joy to talk to you. Thank you so much for being with us. Great pleasure to talk to a brother in quiz. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye, Roy.
Thanks, Roy.
Also in March, we spoke to the actor Amanda Seyfried, famous for her roles in Mean Girls, Mamma Mia, and The Dropout. Her latest project has her playing a cop, which turned out to be a childhood dream of hers.
I had this weird obsession with the first 48. I would watch like 2 episodes before bed every night. I think that's probably why I was so anxious in my early 20s.
Really?
But yeah, sure. I mean, I just think it's cool, and I never wanted to play detective. Don't get me wrong; they're cool, but they're everywhere. Beat cops is where it's at.
Yeah, really? So
And I just feel so slight that like no one would believe me with that kind of authority. So I just wanted to prove myself and everybody else wrong.
Wow. So your model for the cop you wanted to be was not like, say, Kojak, but like the little bunny in Zootopia.
That's exactly who I modeled my character after.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
In preparation for this role, you did something, I am told again, that I know a lot of actors do, which you did a ride-along with Real Philadelphia Police. Is that true?
Yeah. I had no business being there. But I went, and it was something.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the Wawa. Let's break up the fight. They let me choose which place we were gonna go next. Actually.
Did they really?
Like, well, there's a wellness check. You want to do that? And I'm like, that could be anything. We should go. And it turned out to be a dead person.
Oh.
But
Well, there you
So
go.
the
Rest in peace.
wellness was pretty low.
Yeah, not a lot of wellness there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do it again, actually.
It occurs to me, though, I mean, well, the cops have you, that you could come in handy. Like, if a gunfight, God forbid, were to break out, they could shout, "Put down your weapons, Amanda Seyfried is here." There's like a third Mamma Mia movie on the line.
And if that ever happened, listen, I'm for it. I'll do anything to save a life.
Right.
Quote me on that.
All right. Speaking of Mamma Mia, we have read, this might be urban legend, it might be true, we have read that like when you were making that movie and its sequel on these beautiful places, that the entire cast was drunk the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean,
not the entire time.
Not the entire
When it's like a short day.
Yeah.
No, it really was debauchery.
Yeah. It looked like, I mean, it seemed like part of the appeal of the movie was just imagining being able to make it with you guys, because boy, it looked like fun.
It really was. Actually, those images that came out a while back of us in our most drunken state at some party where we did karaoke in Skopelos, it just looks like the most fun anyone could ever have, especially because Meryl Streep is at the center of every photo. And like, I wish I could say, oh, wasn't that fun? But my grandmother got drunk that night. And it was a memory that I will never, I hold it so close, and I really look forward to a third. So just so we could keep getting drunk together.
Right. So you won an Emmy for playing Elizabeth Holmes in The Dropout, the story of her and Theranos, and perhaps the single most iconic moment in the show is when you, as Elizabeth, kind of dances into your boyfriend's office to Lil Wayne to either seduce him or cheer him up or both, and it is somehow the most awkward thing I have ever seen. And my question is, how does someone who knows how to dance badly?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not a good dancer. I really am not.
Peter, she thought that was really good.
Really? Oh, God.
That was like the best dancing she could do.
Oh.
I don't know. I was wearing who can dance well or take themselves seriously when they're wearing that puffy vest?
Yeah. When that really happened, presumably it did, Lil Wayne felt a horrible twinge somewhere. He just knew something was wrong.
He was more uncomfortable than you were watching it.
Yeah.
But
and as far as I know,
oh no, it's Lil Jon who does the meditation stuff. So when she did that dance, Lil Wayne had to go to Lil Jon to do meditation to get over it.
Oh.
That's where I was going with that.
Okay.
But it was a stretch when it wasn't the same. When I remembered it wasn't the same person.
I tried to find this out. You have never met Elizabeth Holmes, and she has never reached out to meet you. Is that right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was better that I didn't, because then I wouldn't have been able to make fun of her too.
Yeah.
Because part of the show is getting on the inside and trying to, breed some kind of compassion and show a three-dimensional person. But the other part of it is like making fun of her. like with the scene.
You did both exceptionally well. Well, Amanda Seyfried, this is a joy to talk to you, and we have asked you here to play a game we're calling
Mean Girl, Meet Nice Guy.
So you began your career by starring in the classic movie comedy Mean Girls. So in honor of that, we found 3 questions about some guys who were actually really, really nice. Answer just 2 of them correctly, you'll win our prize for one of our listeners. Bill, who is Amanda Seyfried playing for? Michelle
Musara of Cleveland, Ohio.
All right. You seem a little. I hope you were warned that this would be happening.
Get some wine, girl.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
You're right.
All right. Here we go. Here's your first question. Mr. Rogers was possibly the nicest person of all time. After Mr. Rogers filed a police report that his car had been stolen, what happened 2 days later? A, PBS pledged money to him to buy him a new car.
Yeah.
B, neighbors complained about all the people clogging up their street hoping to give him a ride somewhere. Or C, the thieves returned the car with a note that said, if we'd known it was yours, we never would have taken it.
C.
C.
See?
Yes, that's what happened.
Yeah.
He was so nice he could turn other people into nice guys through osmosis. He was amazing. All right, that's very well done. Here's your next question. During World War II, Canada famously treated their POWs so well that some of them didn't want to go back to Germany when the war was over. According to one captured German corporal, that great treatment at the POW camp included which of these? A, the government brought in a famous chef to make authentic schnitzel for them. B, the guards would regularly lend the prisoners their rifles so they could go hunting. Or C, upon request, Canada would fly in a soldier's wife and kids so they could all be POWs together.
D.
Nah, it's A.
I'm afraid it was actually B. They gave them rifles to go hunting.
Oh, I thought that was like the boring one.
Really?
I was like, can't be B.
No.
That was their version of a trust fall.
It really was. They hand them a rifle, close their eyes, turn around.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
It worked. What were you saying?
So I still think that's kind of awesome.
I mean, they're in Canada. Where are they gonna go? I mean,
They're in Canada, home of the Geneva checklist.
right. Also, yeah, right. Also, like, you can't escape Canada. I mean, you could, but you'd end up in the U.S. So really,
Or the water.
right? And that's water you don't want to be in. Like, I realize that the strait up there between Alaska and Russia isn't very big. Like, if you could get all the way there, you almost think you could swim across that. Except that's really cold water. This is really, really, really cold water. So, I mean, like, also, you got to imagine that everybody in Canada's pretty much got a gun. I mean, not everybody, like, the population, but, like, all the guards there have got guns.
Yeah.
So, like, what, one rifle? These are probably also single-shot rifles, not semi-automatic.
Hey, if the guards didn't get you, the moose would.
Right.
Oh, definitely the moose would.
Right. And it eventually... I can't believe I'm going to say this. Any Czechoslovakian would get eaten by a bear. Because the check's in the mail.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to hope that everybody at home saw the pain that went across my face as I had to do that.
Potentially.
All right.
All right, anyway, here's your last question. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not someone is nice, like the man who helped out a woman in Wales one day by hanging up her laundry to dry, washing her floor, putting her groceries away, and taking out the recycling. But there was one catch. What was it? A, he had broken in her house to do these things while she was away at work. B, the whole time he was working, he told her how bad her clothing and food choices were. Or C, after he finished, he told her, now you have to come do my house.
Yeah, I mean,
A.
it seems like the obvious choice.
Yes, you're right, Amanda.
Yeah.
He broke into her house, and he did all those things for her, and then she came home and found him doing them.
Now they're married. She
Yeah.
likes a bad boy.
Yeah. Bill, how did Amanda Seyfried do in our quiz?
Mamma mia, 2 out of 3 is a win, Amanda.
Congratulations. Well done. Amanda Seyfried is an Emmy-winning actor who you can see right now in Long, Bright River. All episodes are streaming on Peacock now. Go watch it. Amanda, thank you so much for being with us. What a pleasure to talk to you and see you.
Thanks, Hey, have fun, you guys.
We will.
Bye, Amanda.
Coming up, Jim Gaffigan, the world's funniest dad, and MXM Tune, the world's most popular the world's most popular player of the ukulele. That's when we come back with more of Wait, Don't Tell Me. From
Exceptional companies, life face systems can connect to.
This is Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your host at the Studebaker Theater in the Fine Arts Building in downtown Chicago, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. This year, our country turns 249 years old, but it's still vibrant. It's still youthful. It's still hip.
Remember, age ain't nothing but a 3-digit number.
To prove that our country still has it, at least the very tiny part of our country that is our show, we're going over some of the best conversations we've had in the last year or so.
Last December, Jim Gaffigan joined us to talk about his new comedy special titled The Skinny, because, well, that's what he is now.
I asked him about whether he enjoyed people congratulating him on his weight loss.
Well, I feel there's a certain imposter syndrome because I use an appetite suppressant, so it's not like I put any effort or changed any behavior.
Right.
I joke in the special that I used to be a fat guy and now I'm thin, therefore arrogant, because I always viewed thin people as arrogant. But I do feel like, I love it. My knees don't hurt. It's, with the appetite suppressant, I'm just kind of, it's not like I don't eat, I just eat like a normal human. I'm less consuming like a dog.
So the special comes out at the end of what I understand has been a pretty remarkable year for you. For example,
I would like to talk about weight loss for a moment.
Okay.
Being that I do this yo-yo diet every year, without the help of a prescribed oh my god, I lost the yeah, appetite suppressant. Appetite just disappeared from my head there. I both would love an appetite suppressant sort of thing, and also don't know that I would like it.
Right.
I work really hard to train myself to suppress my appetite naturally. And I have to go through that training every year. There's a couple of weeks of having to really train myself to stop eating. But every year I also have to train myself to start eating again. It is I would love to be able to do that without having to go through the mental exercise every year. But also, I feel like going through that exercise every year is what makes it work.
Yeah.
Going through the work of training my body, training my mind and my body to only register hunger when there's blood sugar decline, it's important. It's good for it's good exercise for both my mind and my body. Whereas the other side of it, when I have to retrain myself to eat, I feel like that's good for my soul, because there's a lot of comfort food that goes in at that point. Like, from late August through basically through New Year's. Actually, it's starting to be from late September, mid to late September through February now, where I just kind of, I can eat comfort food. I can eat almost whatever I want, almost whenever I want. And it's really good for the soul. Like, it feels really nice. All doing it and knowing that I'm allowing myself to do it. I'm giving myself permission to do it because I know that I'm going to undo it at the end of winter.
Right.
You know. So while this is a very work-intensive diet, it's also a very rewarding one, I feel like. And it does seem to fit into the intuitive eating sort of thing that I feel. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else on that I want to say. I feel like using an appetite suppressant it might take me away from being able to intuit what my body wants. I think that's where the worry is for me.
I mean, that makes sense. Part of learning to eat in a healthy manner and have a good relationship is learning what you actually need. And if you're someone that's, for whatever reason, suppressing your appetite all of the time, then you're not learning what those cues actually are.
Right. All right. Back to it. Back to it.
Okay.
Example, earlier you went with about 200 other comedians to the Vatican to meet the Pope. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that shows you the position that the Catholic Church is in right now. They're like, okay, time to call in the comedian.
Why in the world did Pope Francis, why did he want to have 200 comedians come to the Vatican?
Well, there was a really intellectually sound reason, which he believes that humor is a really important part of dealing with everyday life, and so he wanted to articulate that. But the reality of sitting in a room in the Vatican with, Jimmy Fallon, Chris Rock, and Ramin Youssef, you feel like it was just a gathering of every kid who couldn't behave in church.
Right. I don't know if the nun can do it for these guys. We better go to the Pope. You said in your Instagram post about it that the Pope Francis told you, Jim Gaffigan, that you were his favorite comedian.
What?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is not true at all. That was me trying to be funny.
Making one of your little jokes.
But I posted it and I was like, you know what? Are people going to think that I'm serious?
Would have been funnier from a fat guy.
So another accomplishment that happened this year, you got the chance to play Tim Waltz on Saturday Night Live. Now, when you saw the announcement that he was going to be the vice presidential candidate, did you just start hovering by the phone waiting for Lorne Michaels to call?
Maybe I've just been kicking around long enough where I had, I've been burned so many times that I didn't want to emotionally invest in it. And so when, the internet kind of, after Steve Martin turned it down, they kind of identified every Midwestern doughy guy. I definitely wanted to do it, but.
The irony would have been, Jim, we wanted you to play Tim Waltz, but you've lost too much weight.
Right.
You're not doughy enough. It's a shame.
Well, that's the good thing about being a Midwestern doughy guy is like you can lose the weight, but you still look out of shape.
That's right. Well, Jim Gaffigan, it's great to talk to you again. And this time we have invited you here to play a game we're calling.
This is another thing about weight loss here, really quickly for me. I have no idea if I look out of shape or not. I know that when I look in the mirror, I see someone who is actually in good shape, wrapped in a layer of fat and extra skin. But I have no idea what other people actually see when they look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys find that to be true for yourselves, or something similar to be true for yourselves?
That is a question I haven't really thought about.
I'm not sure what that sigh was. It sounded something like frustration or exasperation. Long suffering, maybe. The sigh sounded like you were saying, I don't know why I didn't see this question coming. I feel like I should have.
No. Yes. No. For me, it's one of those things where I don't notice so much whether you are quote unquote in shape or quote unquote out of shape. It's more a case of, are you able to function with whatever it is you're trying to do?
Right.
If you're not able to function with what you're trying to do at the moment, what can be done to make it better?
Is that how you look at is that how you see yourself? Do you look at yourself through that lens?
I suppose so. Honestly, most of the time I don't. I don't look at myself in that way, period. Partially out of, what is the word I want? Partially out of reaction to other people constantly looking at me that way and trying to be helpful or kind or supportive. And this is going back to when I was like 16.
Those are all words that they were telling themselves that they were being, right?
Right.
Because sounds to me like those words are hiding that they were being not nice.
Right.
That it felt not nice.
And this, then there were the other group that were really trying to be nice, and they thought that
Yeah,
because I'm short, because I'm round, because I'm whatever, I must have a very low view of myself because I'm not constantly putting it out there and talking about how. So they're trying to uplift me. It's like,
right,
I love you to death. Please shut up.
right. Can't you just let me be me?
Hmm?
Um, I, from that perspective, uh, because I'm a performer for one, and for another, the only way people have ever commented on me, on my physical, you know, other than when I had gone on the rock star diet and became skeletal. Um, you know, people. No one told me I looked
Dude, I
good.
love your memes. Oh wait, you said skeletal, not skeletor.
Hilarious. Uh,
Sorry.
that's okay. Where was I? People, people were trying to fix my body. They were trying to tell me how to get more,
Right.
you know, um, telling me that my body was wrong. Um, it, and and otherwise, I was just not seen. People didn't really notice me, other than when I was on stage, being big, being, you know, people didn't notice me physically, other than when I was making my physical. I was there. People saw me there as being there emotionally and intellectually, and these other, but physically I just didn't. The body wasn't of interest,
Hmm.
and I still sort of feel like I navigate the world in that way. Like, I'm not. People aren't really interested in the body so much as the mind and the heart, and that is fine. That is fine. Uh, at this point, for me, being in shape is about my body's performance. It's about, like, the reason I want to be able to. The reason why I lift weights is because I want to be able to easily lift 20 pounds in one hand repeatedly. I'd like to be able to swing a 20-pound sledgehammer while I am um, forging, while I
Hmm.
am, you know, uh, as it is, I can swing a 4-pound sledgehammer like nothing. I can just I can use a 4-pound hammer like other people use a 14-ounce hammer, an 8-ounce hammer, you know, which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay.
That's not what I'm aiming for, but I'm happy I'm there.
Right.
I don't know if I can still draw a 100-pound bow, but that's what I was when I was doing the other arm and back exercises. That's what I was training for, was to be able to
Right.
draw a 100-pound bow. I want to be able to draw a war bow.
Makes
Unfortunately, they don't make war bows in my size. It's very hard to get a 100-pound draw at 24 inches. This
Uh-huh.
this draw length here is tiny. What's a comfortable actual draw for me is tiny. Like it's nothing. Most bows draw 4 to 6 inches back, where I'm pulling the string back to behind my ear. Like, I don't just have to worry about string slap on my wrist. I have to worry about string slap on my ear. I'm whatever this is it's just tiny little draw. So you put 100 pounds of pressure on limbs that are made for a draw of 24 inches, those limbs are gonna snap.
Mm.
I mean, either that or they're gonna be massive. They're gonna be like it is a it's a conundrum. So but those are the reasons I am in shape, that I lift. Um, I like to be in good enough cardio shape to go for a decent hike. And by hike, I mean, up a 90-degree wall. All right, 85 degrees. You know, I go when I go hike the waterfalls in I-Town, I don't take the nice easy routes up the waterfalls. I tend to take the hard route up, which includes rock climbing. When I go to I consider going to Sugar Hollow to be a walk, not a hike. You
Right.
know. Uh so it's one of those things of I have to be for that kind of exercise, I have to be in a certain amount of decent cardio shape. I
Yeah.
have to have a decent, my legs have to be a decent amount of strong uh along with my arms. Now, recently I did something that I have never done before, and and I think it was because I did all that arm and back training. I climbed up a pole, like a fireman size pole. I managed to climb up. I have never had the upper body strength to be able to do that. Uh, that that was pretty exciting for. Not only was that pretty exciting for me, it was uh, encouragement. It encouraged me to want to keep working out, because it's sort of like, oh, I could do this fun thing now. But something that rings in my head is uh, an ex of mine once asked me why I don't do more crunches and sit ups. And this was back when I was skeletal, when I was 154. I'm 170 something right now. Probably
Mm-hmm.
actually 180 right now. That
Mm.
20 to 30 pounds between 180 to 150, 170 to 150 is that 20 pounds is the last 20 pounds. That 20 pounds is like if I actually lose that final weight, most of that's muscle at this point. And if I lose that final weight and I suck in my stomach, you can see my spine. You can see my spine. You can see my spine from the front if I get down below 150. If I get down to like 150 or below, you can see my spine from the front. When I was that size, I could scratch my rib cage from the inside. Like I could suck in that last little bit of gut, reach up into my rib cage and scratch the inside. It, it I was small. And my
Someone
girlfriend
out there that has been haunting Home Depot is now making plans to take you home as a yard decoration. You're not a
I
12-foot tall skeleton, but
I'm 12. I'm not even 6, honey.
no,
I'm
but you're
only
more
5'9" on a good day.
entertaining than one of the 12-foot tall skellies.
That's true. Uh my girlfriend at the time once looked at me without my shirt on and said, "I don't know why you don't do more sit-ups and crunches. If you built up your abs, you'd have the kind of abs that make women swoon and men cry." And it's like that very much put my body. Oh, this is also the same girlfriend who told me to just stand there and look pretty. That my job was she's like, shh, don't speak, just stand there and look pretty. It's like, oh, ouch. Um, this really put me into the position of an object. Uh, and it really put into perspective how much of an object I really was. Like, had been for other people too, just in a different way.
Mm.
Uh, and so it was, but it really made me become, this was one of the formative things, one of, that made
Mm.
me really aware of how I appeared to other people, how other people see me. Um, and it that was also the moment at which I realized that other people might actually see my body as being, you know, not flubberous.
Ah.
But then again, uh, I don't really care if people see me as flubberous. I'm I'm kind of over whether I care if people see me that way. It matters more to me how I see my body. And I see my body as a little jiggly, but not that bad. Uh, and I'm not willing. Part of the jiggly is a lot of extra skin still,
Mm.
but I'm also not willing to put my body through what it would have to go through to lose the last bits of fat. You know, I don't need to do that. My body is just fine for right now. A little layer of fat, a little jiggle is absolutely fine. And I mean, I'm about to start putting on a layer of fat for the winter anyway. You know, I'm still smaller than waist size is still smaller than I have been since I was 150, 154. I still
Mm.
have one of the smallest waist sizes I've ever had. I don't feel the need to lose inches at the moment. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling pretty healthy about my weight, about my size. Um, and the thing
As someone
is,
who has never had good body image, can we please change the subject?
sure, sorry.
Calling
Your Wait gift guide.
Now, the holidays are right around the corner, so we're going to ask you 3 questions about gifts you can buy for your loved ones. Answer 2 questions correctly, and you'll win a present for one of our listeners, the voice of anyone from our show they might like. Bill, who is Jim Gaffigan playing for?
Liz Wilder of Phoenix, Arizona.
All right. First question. There are lots of high-tech products you can buy, including a whole category just meant to improve your sleep, including which of these? A smart pillow, which uses AI and motors to nudge you when you start snoring. B, a smart mattress that flings you out of bed if you hit snooze one too many times. Or C, a smart fitted sheet with a speaker that tells you step by step how to fold it correctly.
I feel like it's gotta be the smart pillow.
It is. It's the smart pillow, the DiRucci smart pillow. Can sense, it says, if you're snoring, and then uses these motors in the pillow to nudge your head, which will either make you stop snoring because you've moved, or you'll just learn not to snore to avoid that punishment. All right. Second question. It wouldn't be Christmas without the Goop gift guide. And this year, in the sexy holiday section of the gift guide, Gwyneth Paltrow suggests that what might be just the thing to spice up your love life? A pet parrot, so they can repeat your pillow talk back to you. B, a replica of the 1995 Batman costume, you know, the one with the nipples. Or C, a printed photograph of a classic 1951 Ferrari 212 sports car.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. They're all so hot, it's hard to
There
choose.
is something. I think it's the third one. It's the photo.
It's the picture of the Ferrari. You're right.
Wow.
Why did you think it was that one?
Not that I understand Goop logic, but I think there's the nostalgia of the beauty of the past that is timeless, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my reason.
All right. Here's a third question. See if you can be perfect. Of course, if you want a gift for the person who has everything, you always turn to Neiman Marcus. And this year, in their holiday gift guide, they are offering a $48,000 Moet Chandon vending machine, which lets you have 35 bottles of champagne available to your friends and family at the touch of a button. There's a catch, though, and what is it? A, the $48,000 price does not include the champagne.
Yes.
B, the machine only holds those single-serving mini bottles of champagne. Or C, it'll cost you an extra $1,000 to have it delivered.
Oh, I think it's the $1,000 delivered.
It is, and
Or
it's
maybe it's the first one.
It is both the first one and the last one. They're all true.
Oh, really?
So for $48,000,
Right.
Sounds about right.
you get basically an empty vending machine that says Moet Chandon in it. You can,
Which I kind of want.
do you really?
Yeah, but there's nothing worse than when like the champagne gets jammed and then the next person comes along, gets 2 bottles
Oh,
of
I
champagne.
hate that.
Like, you're drinking my champagne.
I know.
What'd you say, Cap?
I'm good without having the empty vending machine. I'm good.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take an RC Cola vending machine. I don't mind getting an empty RC Cola vending machine and filling it myself.
That's different.
And I do imagine that there would be still $1,000 delivery fee.
Oh, probably.
Right. Although I don't think the RC Cola vending machine would cost the same.
No.
Nor
No.
would the cost of stocking it be the same.
No, I doubt that the cost of stocking it would be the same.
Hey, RC Cola, sponsor me. RC Cola and Lance Salted Peanuts. You guys know where to find Planter's Peanuts? In between his legs.
Oh, no.
was I was walking through a grocery store with my dad. And he was going in there just to get mixed nuts. And he's walking through, he's like, man, I wonder where to find Planter's nuts. And without missing a beat, I said, try between his legs.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this, but there were other people in the aisle. And I pissed some lady off so bad. Like, she shot him the dirtiest look for that. Which made me really proud. Because that was really his joke coming out of my mouth. So he deserved to get a dirty look for it.
Fair enough. How much more of the show do we have?
Not a lot.
Okay. Okay.
You know what else is frustrating? When you're trying to get your champagne and you keep trying to get your $100 bill in and it keeps rejecting it. It's just the worst. Bill, how did Jim Gaffigan do in our quiz?
3 in a row. Perfect. Excellent. Jim, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Jim Gaffigan is a comedian and actor whose latest special, The Skinny, is on Hulu now. It's fabulous. Check it out. Jim Gaffigan, thank you so much for joining us again. We'll see you next time, I hope. Take care.
This message comes from Apple Pay. No matter where you're going this summer, all
Our sponsor, Intercom, can get off the
vitamins are made with bio
superstar MXM Toon, who first found fame through her viral videos playing the ukulele. Suddenly being catapulted into internet stardom, she was able to take in stride, but appearing on our show, that was a little weird.
This is the most surreal experience I've ever had in my life.
If I understand correctly, your stage name, your online name, MXM Toon, began because you were a cartoonist as a very young person, and you were posting cartoons, right?
I was. My dad is actually the person who created the handle, so I'll have to hand it to him.
All right.
But yeah, he created it when I was 11 years old and was sharing things like my cartoons on the internet and thought that would be my claim to fame.
Right.
It was not. Yeah.
No. But something was, and I'm told it was the ukulele.
Yeah.
So you were posting your videos of yourself playing the ukulele. How did you know they were getting popular?
Let me tell you, Peter, there's
Yes.
a thing called a view count and a like count, and I saw that number kind of slowly creep up and then get exponentially bigger, and then suddenly I didn't go to college and I was a full-time musician, so
Wow.
that is where I'm at, yeah.
Wow.
You know, there's a man who gave himself a vasectomy and filmed it. And it got 4 million views. How about you?
I'm definitely not beating out that vasectomy video, so
Yeah.
I'd say that that's where I'm at.
Well, if you can find a man who will do that while you play the ukulele.
I'm curious. Did you walk into your parents one day and say, "Guess what, everybody? I'm skipping college and I'm going to go just be a musician. on YouTube.
Essentially, there was 2 coming outs. I came out as bisexual in 2017, and then the far scarier one was coming out as a musician who didn't want to pursue higher education, which was mortifying to both of my parents, who are both educators.
Yeah.
But they've been nothing but supportive since
Really,
then
I was about
being
like
queer and a musician.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the first one was easier. I want to talk a little bit about your music because you've progressed far beyond merely playing the ukulele. You are writing and performing these beautiful, heartfelt songs. Did you have a particular inspiration? Did you have a sound or a person you were trying to emulate or reach when you started singing and writing and singing your own songs?
Maybe Kermit the Frog, I think, is the only person that comes to mind. I mean,
Really?
he is just the best.
I love
what's better
him.
than that?
You're listening to Kermit and you go, you know what else is not easy being? Me. It's not easy being me. And I want to sing about that. What I love about your music is it's timeless, but it seems very much for and by your generation, which I guess technically is Gen Z. Am I right about that? Like you have this one lyric in one of your songs, one of your love songs that I love, where you talk about, the singer talks about a relationship with this other person. We snap together like Legos. And I was like, that is perfect.
It is, except that the plural of Lego is just Lego, and I found that out way too late.
Really?
Doesn't matter for the
Yeah,
it is,
doesn't matter.
unfortunately, the comment section made that abundantly clear to me.
Really? Oh, that was another question.
But it still doesn't matter. It's the passion of what you're doing, and no, I wouldn't get tripped up by that if I were you.
Yeah.
You know, you should write a song about reading the comments.
Ooh, I should. That's a good idea. I'll do that after I collab with the guy who did the self-vasectomy. So
There you are.
I'll get back to you. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, Maya, it is enormous fun to talk to you, and we have invited you here to play a game we're calling
MXM Tune. Meet Tune M&Ms.
By which we mean those charming animated mascots that help sell M&M candies. We're going to ask you 3 questions about those cartoon candies. If you get 2 right, you win our prize from one of our listeners, the voice of their choice on their answering machine. Shoki, who is Maya playing for?
Mallory Kelly of Peoria, Illinois.
All right, you ready to do this?
I think so, Mallory. I'm going to try. So
Okay.
my very best for you.
All right. So here's your first question. For M&M's 75th anniversary, they released a video showing 360-degree views inside the M&M mascots' homes, right? One feature of the orange M&M's house surprised some people. What was it? A, 6 locks on the front door. B, a tanning bed. Or C, a Robert Mapplethorpe print.
Locks on the door.
First of all,
wasn't it?
I have not seen this advertisement. I'm delighted to know that the M&Ms are homeowners. Congratulations to them.
It's amazing.
I want to say tanning bed.
They want to say tanning bed.
I feel like the locks thing is a little too ominous. Yeah.
While it might be ominous, it is true. Apparently, Orange's little quirk is that he's paranoid about being eaten. I can't imagine why. No. So his apartment has 6 locks and a monitor showing feeds from 9 security cameras. Okay, so here's your next question. You got 2 more. You can do it. Before her redesign in 2022, the green M&M was a female with big eyelashes and go-go boots, relatively sexy for a candy. Why was she designed to be sexy? Was it A, because research showed that people get hungrier when they are feeling romantic? B, because of the widely held belief that green M&Ms were an aphrodisiac? Or C, because of a planned but abandoned ad campaign featuring a passionate love affair between her and the Jolly Green Giant?
Wow. Okay, you know, I've listened to this show for years, and I've always thought maybe I'd be good at this, and I think I'm just learning rapidly that this is not my skill set, and that's okay.
That's all right. The audience is trying to help you by...
They are helping me, and
Yes.
I haven't been able to hear them a lot throughout the Zoom
Yes.
call, but I'm going to be thankful when I answer. I believe that it's the second one.
It is, in fact, because apparently certain members of the audience, I'm not saying they're old enough personally, but they might have heard that back in the 70s, that was a widespread rumor that green M&Ms were an aphrodisiac. It was the thing. It really was. All right, that's good. You got 1 right with 1 to go. If you get this, you win. Here's your last question. M&M's almost had a live mascot. They asked Kevin Bacon, the actor, to do a commercial where he would dance to the song Footloose from his famous movie in a yellow M&M costume, but he turned them down. Why did he turn them down? Was it A, his
Was it you?
Steelers quarterback?
Yes.
Joe Namath.
No, Aaron Rodgers. This week, a beekeeper in Spain who was pulled over for a DUI attempted to get out of it by blanking.
By releasing bees.
Exactly right. According to police, after they pulled him over, the man refused a breathalyzer, walked calmly to the back of his van, opened the door, and sicked his bees on the officers. Police assumed he was drunk because he was driving erratically down the road, but did they ever consider he was swerving because the van was filled with bees?
Okay, that's unique.
This message comes from.
Well, I guess
that's the end of the show.
Ends. All right.
Here's a clip of bees from last week.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for being here. And I hope it wasn't too much of a drag. I'm certainly not feeling super energetic this week, so. Thank you, Chris in the 386. Thank you, Just Me Crystal. Thank you, all you lurkers. Much love to all of you. Big love. Stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding out to, I believe, DJ Margarita Mel. Yep. She is the, oh, darn it. I did that, didn't I? Mm-hmm. She is the DJ up on the, oh, no, we're going to be raiding out to Lockpick.
Goody.
Never mind. We will be raiding out to Lockpick.
All means.
Of the Sunday No Pants Raid Train hosted by Lockpick. Brought to you by Lockpick. Did that, do that, click on that, go there, do that, hit that. So stick around for the raid, y'all. And thank you, everybody. Now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down. VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.
And so the gnome said, I got your present right here. Bend over. This'll be fun. Rectum. Damn near killed him. Damn near dildo.